After years of violent struggle against the Italian colonizers, Libya became a battlefield once again in 1940, when Italian forces clashed with the British and their allies. Then in February 1941, the Führer sent one of his favorite commanders, Erwin Rommel, to lead the newly formed Deutsches Afrika Korps. He was to help the Italians defend against the British. That was all. Less than a year later, the British were in retreat, and Rommel was driving the Afrika Korps towards Benghazi and my home.
This is our chance. Italian troops have the attention of British forces up ahead. Thanks to their efforts, we seem to have arrived unnoticed, but they will not hold on much longer. The British have fought valiantly, but this mistake will cost them the battle. It is time they learn to never take their eyes off Deutsches Afrika Korps. Panzers, with me! Push forward! The British anti-tank gun is a formidable threat. Eliminate it. And decisive strike. I would expect nothing less of the Afrika Korps. However, the enemy is sure to send in a counterattack. Be prepared. Return to headquarters and deploy additional troops immediately. We will show the British, the Italian, and even Berlin who is the true authority when it comes to desert warfare. I have studied the enemy lines and detected a weak point where our Italian allies continued to distract the British attacking from the east. We will take them by surprise by storming in and capturing two key locations. The Eastern Trench network, which currently prevents us from pushing northward, and the fuel depot to the northeast, which is sure to prove a vital source of support for our armed forces. We are to flank and entrap the British, then eliminate whatever troops remain before they even think of withdrawing to Benghazi. And once they do attempt a retreat, it will be too late. The Afrika Korps will be waiting for them. The recovery truck allows us to strengthen our forces by restoring disabled vehicles. I see both a Sturmgeschütz assault gun and a Panzer with a flame projector in need of repairs. Either would be greatly useful if restored. Remember, our goal is to flank the British and cut off their escape. To achieve that, we must capture two locations: the trenches and the fuel refinery. Stay alert. I see mine markers nearby. Fortunately, with the right equipment, our resourceful Panzer pioneers can detect mines and defuse them. Excellent! We have the trenches. Now act fast and push north before the British can respond.
Flag 36, arriving on the field.
An 88mm anti-tank gun is being towed to our location. Deploy it near the trenches to prepare for an armored assault. We shall use its firepower to crush our enemy's tanks. The utility truck is in position. Assign troops to the anti-tank gun and face it north to provide the British with a proper welcome. Area secure and enemies cornered. Commendable work, Afrika Korps. I anticipate the British will attempt to withdraw to the northwest. We, of course, cannot allow that to happen. There is a village nearby. Capture it and blockade the road to cut the enemy's escape route. Impressive. The Flak 36 is a powerful addition to our long-range arsenal. We can tow it using our utility truck and use our mobile squads to find targets for it. I advise we set up the Flak 36 to cover the roads leading into the village. With that, we have control of the village. All that is left now is to intercept and destroy the retreating troops. Set up defenses here, or take up positions along the main roads. But do not let them escape. Eliminated. Exemplary work, Afrika Korps.
In Benghazi, we'd been pulled back and forth between the Italians, the Germans, and the British for over 2 years. We navigated occupied life as best we could, siding with whoever was holding the city at the time. It was safer that way. But then Mussolini began forcing Jews in other parts of Libya to move to Benghazi. Some friends, men I'd grown up with, wanted me to join them and fight alongside the British Army. I didn't want to leave my family, but I couldn't just sit around and hope the war wouldn't touch us.
كان بحرة إن السرداسن إيسوق غصة قلنا غرس وليني أفتيح آتن الزريح
خصك ما تعرف البالية فن تايلتينو
أسرق حتايلت أيبا
سنح ولا كاين نرب دازك التاري
إذن بلاني غيب إبا وهو
سليمة يخصاي تسكر خيكاد
صدر حدك مون حولي إنكي صدر حد مونها أولا نكي
احتاج راك ما تقاور دمام هذا استوس ياك تسنتمنى
أدور تفتو تايبا
رادك على خير تايلتينو وعدكم.
We met up with the British forces near Mshili. They were tired but friendly. They had their tea and their porters to make them feel at home. But the war was already taking its toll. Water and food were running low, And the desert was as much their enemy as the Germans were. The British knew Rommel. He made them nervous. It didn't take long for me to understand why.
Gentlemen, as we all know, supplies have been scarce. To make matters worse, the British have deployed armored units to guard the fastest route to our supply lines. The way I see it, we either sit and wait for weeks while our supplies take the long way around them in the desert heat, or we strike now, take the lines back and go to bed well-fed. Yes, we are outnumbered, and yes, we'll have few reinforcements, but the enemy is no match for our panzers, or our appetite. Push forward and destroy the enemy armor. Salvage and recover what we need to secure victory and the path to our supplies. I know we are all running on fumes, but I am taking the lead on this myself. Follow me. Let us end this fast. To gain access to our supplies, we must hunt down all enemy armored units, but also protect our own. Remember, we cannot afford heavy losses. No use to supplies if we have nothing left to replenish. If my command tank is compromised, we will be forced to withdraw. Meaning no supper tonight. Pionier to recover fuel from our wrecked vehicles. Every drop helps. Our panzers are performing well. Advance! Command tank is on the move. Now this should be interesting. Prepare to intercept. The enemy armor has been reduced to scrap. Excellent work, Afrika Korps. Our panzers will be filled tonight.
Rommel pushed us back towards Gazala. Time and time again we were caught out by his aggression. His unpredictable maneuvers left us scrambling to survive as the German flak guns devastated our lines and our morale. The British lost men. I lost friends. The Air Force brought some respite, but news from Benghazi left me wondering exactly who I was fighting alongside.
إبا سباقين تلفوحتين لم تتغسى كيسو دراينا كرا فرسيسين لاينين تلحونا ورقسن يتك يننهون كان للمان ريحة داسنا أدور يتين يكان ولا نين نسلة يتلفوحتين دي كان فلاح النرول كان يد إنا وحوس دور لحسر إكامة تبدي دي تايمرد تنا شما إسرائيل هتاري إكانيين ولا أنت يوم زفوسينو دينا إي أدقو ترك صوتح قرب انت الفلتين أيلح أترقق اسقف لحبد انت الفوحتين نفوحس برا أن تمسكا إدمن تياماد تجميد نه ولاني دركرا إجوز من إتنسقف آري ردزدح الجزة تنائنا تمسكين جنوين الإنجليز ولاني لحسبينو كان إمودا كالنه كما تحفهم ورد زيك استجمي عيبا تنياغي تنوفيناك أركم تريح سليمة.
The British began to refer to Rommel as the Desert Fox. For some, the name conjured up images of a wily commander using stealth and cunning to outwit his opponents. But the British had the upper hand at Gazala. They were convinced that more troops and a strong defensive position would keep the fox at bay.
Welcome to the Cauldron. As you can see, we are surrounded by British mines in almost every direction. That is good. It means we are not surrounded by British troops, and they won't dare cross the field. But we do. A decoy attack to the north is keeping the British occupied, but it is only a matter of time before they turn their attention to us. Hold your position. We've established a base on the other side of the minefield, and I'm issuing a squad to come to your aid. Enemy forces are approaching your location. I expect an attack from the north and northeast. We are almost through the mines, but you must resist until we get there. Looks like we are not too late. Now let me assess this situation. We find ourselves right in the middle of the lion's den. The British not only had plenty of time to prepare their defenses, but are also now aware of our location. However, our headquarters are protected by their own minefield, and we have finally cleared a path forward. There's no better time for an offensive. They have complete control of the fortification to the north, but thanks to your reconnaissance efforts, we now know it has two entrances. To take them, we must break through their defenses along the roads and ridges on our way there. Once those locations are secured, our originally disadvantaged positioning will suddenly turn into an advantage. We'll no longer be trapped with them. They will be trapped with us. Keep an eye out for any remaining mines on the field, but otherwise, this cauldron has simmered for long enough. Battalion has detected British forward operating positions in the nearby settlements. Eliminating their spotters would certainly ease some of the pressure from their infantry. Of the spotter positions. They've fallen back to their last holdout. Secured one of the gates. Push forward. Now! They are attempting a breakout while surrounded by mines. Sound familiar? Their cauldron is now ours, and we are cooking lion stew tonight. Let none escape! Have turned. Gentlemen, you have just achieved the greatest victory in the history of the Afrika Korps. Now watch the British scramble for the rest of this war.
After our defeat at Gazala, we were almost as broken as our tanks. The British commanders had thrown away their advantage. Communication broke down. Reports were delayed or ignored. Rommel hounded us, steadily wearing down our defenses until there was nothing left to do but retreat. Each day I found myself farther from my family. My daughter's letters the only connection I had to them.
نفاديان أموه أن اسمي إجيت الفتوت تحشونا مدن أكل اللان اسمي نساس إجيج إنتفلو إكساتن أدفتون أس كاز غصة إتاحنا وزل تناي إنا إكسايد أد أرتو وعلف ولاني إبان فلس استكسود اسمي ونه أركاني جي أمو ولاني فتح وكاي غيقن قنغن بحران المدن عقل فكرة جاسن زاه تشوها ولاني كان غو وعد ولا أندتن إكن غناهم درفلس إزعيديان وسردس ريادة سوا ولاني تفائنا تواهي إبا إيوين آري
We kept fighting. It was all we could do. But it was as though Rommel could read our minds. He seemed to always be one step ahead. The atmosphere in the British camp became tense. Tempers were frayed, and I was beginning to feel like I'd joined a lost cause.
Afrika Korps, it has come to my attention that the British have coined a nickname for me. Der Wüstenfuchs, the Desert Fox. The time has come for us to test how appropriate that title is. The Allies are still disorganized after Gazala. This is our chance to cut their supply line before it reaches Tobruk. Our signals company has intercepted British communications and discovered that their remaining supply trucks are being escorted in 3 separate convoys through these main roads. We will, of course, be waiting for them. Lay down landmines and prepare defensive positions along the convoy routes. Our enemies may not know it yet, but they have already fallen into the Fox's trap. When they get close enough, pounce. Their convoy should be here shortly. Prepare to intercept with mines and sandbags, but be mindful that our reinforcements are late, so we must rely on whatever supplies we can find. The enemy is here. To make a real impact, we must destroy at least half a dozen of their supply trucks. They will most likely be riding between armored escorts. Excellent! All supply trucks in the first convoy were destroyed. According to the signals team, we should expect more coming from the northeast. Besser spät als nie. Our reinforcements are finally here.
where you wanted it.
I can see more British troops on their way. The signals intel was correct. They appear to be bypassing the town and taking the northeastern road. Relocate and make preparations immediately. Not a single truck has survived our second ambush. Common Devil, I'm still expecting one last convoy. Prepare to relocate once again.
Right?
Our signals company has confirmed this is the last British convoy. They should be approaching now from the southeast.
They won't get through here.
And to top it all off, we have laid waste to every supply truck in the final convoy. The British will be demoralized when they see their supplies arrive at Tobruk several trucks short. Exceptional work, Afrika Korps.
The British became more and more creative in their attempts to gain even a small advantage. They built dummy tanks and left fake tracks in the sand to mislead the Germans. The Allied code breakers, Ultra, gave us access to German transmissions. Our officers scoured through them, hunting for any way to strike back. And the people of Benghazi looked for their own way to wage war on the Germans.
تشقد تبرين يسا اتسوالا إنا تنا إيوان للماني نهوم داري اسكيتو سويكين سرادك تخد تولو نونكي إدي إنا أورتري تبرين أتحبس الدلب إنها أتوز إتفار سنين نسن ترى إنا إز أراسن سلح تتسويعيد فلا أنانكي من أمرا هلك ديك منه.
Opportunities to take the fight to Rommel were rare, and we seized them whenever they appeared. Even when we were able to push the Germans back, they made us pay for that success. Our victories were small, but they gave us hope we could cling to as the war raged on.
Our signals vehicles are under fire, but we can still make a difference. Quickly, rescue them! The British have finally detected our signals battalion, no doubt in retaliation to our recent ambush. The last message sent by signals warned us of an assault force approaching them. The Australian vanguard has already started to engage our forces, but the signals vehicles need time to pack up before retreating. They have also lost all communication with our forward barracks. We must contact each vehicle ourselves and protect them as they pack up and make their way to safety. Time is of the essence. The Allies' main assault force could arrive at any minute. We cannot let them capture our vehicles or any sensitive documents that haven't already been destroyed. With all the communication issues and the enemy's incoming assault, the situation is grim. The Signals Battalion has helped us tremendously in the past. We cannot afford to lose them, so let us return the favor. The Allied vanguard is overwhelming our signals team. Cover them while they prepare to fall back. Signals has started packing up one of their vehicles. Stay with them to ensure they can finish before retreating. Judging by the last message sent by the signals team, the main British assault force should be no farther than 4 kilometers from us by now. Picking up one of their vehicles. Stay with them to ensure they can finish before retreating. According to my projections, the British assault force is only 2 kilometers away. Get ready! Signals vehicle reports they've finished packing up and are starting to retreat. We must ensure they make it to their destination in one piece.
Whoa! We're being promoted!
A signals vehicle has made it to safety. Allied forces have been spotted nearby. They must be preparing an attack wave. One of the signals vehicles has finished packing up and is making its way to our rendezvous point. Make sure they reach it safely. A signals vehicle has made it to safety. Excellent work. Most of our intel is saved, although I cannot calculate to what extent it has been compromised. We cannot wait longer and risk the British organizing a defense. I'm ordering an immediate assault on Tobruk.
I met an Italian one night. In the confusion of battle, we'd ended up in a trench together. We were both tired of fighting, so we talked. I told him about my family. He told me about his. He had a daughter too. The fighting started again at dawn. The Italian was shot, and I tried to save him. For a moment, the war seemed so pointless. But my daughter's letters reminded me of life in Benghazi, and what I was fighting for. My family and my hope.
إبا كان لليمان سوق إرسبدن مدن درتان سكوان بحرة يسقسينو كانوا غول مسد ولا نتاقر اسمك كل والي غغلن إلى أدسري إسوا.
You there, girl! Come here!
ولاني رولا أرسنهما سكربلا غيقا إزمعي أيبا.
Rommel's tactics were unpredictable and reckless, but even the Allies claimed to admire him. They seemed to want him to be seen as a formidable opponent. I still don't know whether that was an excuse for their losses or to amplify their glory when they finally defeated him.
Tobruk has seen some change in the 6 months since we were here. And it is about to see some more. The city will be ours by noon. First things first, we capture this depot and establish a forward base. This will serve as a perfect staging ground. Many of you were here last year, when we laid siege to Tobruk for 241 days. The British had plenty of time to bolster their defenses along the ridge outside of the city. However, due to our recent efforts, their forces are scattered, and they were not expecting us. It is now clear that storming Tobruk today was the correct move. We should be able to break through their first and second line of defenses with ease, forcing them to withdraw to the city. We will then advance and secure the roads leading out, trapping the British forces there. They will have no choice but to surrender. Mark my words, Tobruk's port and supply depots will finally be ours before the end of the morning. Mobilize the camera crews. Today we make history! A swift advance with our panzers is sure to break through their line. Cut through the trench to gain a foothold, then watch as their front lines run. Disabled tanks still litter the battlefield from last year's siege. Shall we recover them and give the British a taste of their own medicine? A resourceful strategy, as always. These heavy tanks will work well as the spirit of our assault on Tobruk. It seems artillery is among the few things the British did have prepared today. We must deal with their artillery positions if we want to safely approach their headquarters. We are free to advance through the city uncontested. Outstanding! Their proper defenses are gone, and it is only a matter of time before the British resistance completely crumbles away. Eliminate any remaining troops and mobilize for the advance on the city. Only a handful of Allied troops remain. I do not expect them to try to hold their position at this point. We must instead prevent their armor from escaping. Their stragglers have regrouped to the west of Tobruk to attempt an escape. Intercept them before they can break out, and rejoin the main British force to the east. British convoys are mobilizing. We cannot let their tanks escape! Well done! Thanks to our efforts, they were unable to escape. It appears we have another convoy attempting a breakout. Engage them before they are gone! Yet another group of British vehicles is on the move across this city. Stop them! Another convoy! This must be their last. Do not let them escape. Another convoy destroyed. Excellent! We are dealing heavy losses to the enemy. Let us keep it that way. desperate attempt to leave Tobruk has been foiled. How ironic. Impeccable. Better dealing with them here rather than facing them again in another battle. Gentlemen, thanks to you, a city that was once under siege for 241 days has fallen in one morning. Today we have proven our tactical superiority to the British, and Berlin will recognize our strategic brilliance. We have gained not only a valuable harbor with precious supplies, but also the upper hand on this entire theater. A monumental victory.
By the time Rommel reached Tobruk, we were at our breaking point. The British commanders underestimated how weak their army was and didn't have the experience to withstand Rommel's assault. The Germans took over 30,000 prisoners. In the aftermath, our officers outlawed any mention of the German commander. The wily desert fox had become a bogeyman to be feared. But there were people who refused to be intimidated, and they fought back, in the desert and in Benghazi.
إبا اتقفى أدم إلى الماء سلاح إن دا تبريس أرفلس سولن تسحبها تنا تبرين فرحا بحرا للالمان تناي إما إقساس غيخ أنرول ولاني نكي والريحة دفتوح ورد زك عفا قايبة هركم تريح سليمة.
The desert treated both sides of the war equally harshly. Sandstorms brought our equipment to a standstill. Sickness depleted our ranks. What fuels hadn't been sabotaged by one side or the other provided barely enough water to survive the sweltering heat. The Germans put on theater shows to distract the soldiers. The British drank their tea and played chess. Both armies' resources were stretched too thin. Every drop of fuel was precious, and the fox became a scavenger.
In desert warfare, it all comes down to fuel and water. Berlin wants a task force sent to Benghazi, but I have other plans. We are not wasting our resources on a meaningless Spritztour. We are taking them from the British when they least expect it. The main force responsible for this British outpost is out on patrol. It is currently guarded only by reserve forces, making this the perfect chance for a raid. The few British troops left to guard the area will be concentrated around the fuel tanks, waiting for the imminent return of their main patrol. Therefore, once we have destroyed enough of their resources to justify this incursion, we must leave before the patrol returns. We will meet at this rendezvous point along the road to the north. Needless to say, we have little access to reinforcements of our own, so we must make this a lean, fast and destructive operation. Our primary targets are the fuel tanks in this outpost. They are highly explosive, so attack them at a safe distance. Do not miss the chance to destroy any armored or transportation vehicles as well. I've received word from our signals battalion. The British patrol is on its way back. We must finish our business before they get here.
They touching clock or what? Very
by the Afrika Korps.
We have vehicles available.
All fuel tanks have been destroyed. Our main objective is now complete. We must now start heading to the rendezvous point.
Captain Sector.
The Signals Battalion reports that the British patrol is halfway back. Proceed with caution and speed. All troops accounted for. Now follow me out of this hell. The British supply line will be severely impacted without this fuel. Let us see if they can handle it as well as we did in the past.
In early July, Australian forces attacked an intelligence outpost that had been relaying every detail of British troop movements to the Germans. Rommel's reputation had grown larger than the man himself. But now, the Allies had finally solved the mystery of his apparent genius. However, the SS had arrived in North Africa with orders to follow Rommel and extend the persecution of Jews east, across Egypt, and beyond. The Allies would get their breakthrough, but it would come too late for my family.
ما كانك نيا إنا إقساخيخ نفتو غلا.
Among the equipment captured by the Australians was a novel the Germans had used to pass coded information from a spy in Cairo. The spy escaped, but with the keys to Rommel's intelligence in their hands, the British could at last see a way to defeat the Germans. But first, we had to face the desert fox at Alamein.
The British have retreated over 200 miles to Alamein and are shielded by a vicious sandstorm that split us from our vanguard. We have received orders from Berlin to hold our position and wait for supplies. But Berlin is not here with their boots on the scalding sand. We are, and the mere sandstorm is not enough to slow us down. The Afrika Korps will strike now and fulfill its purpose to conquer Egypt and end the war in North Africa. We will begin by capturing the Deir el-Shein Ridge to the north. It is of critical importance to our stand and heavily guarded by artillery guns. Destroy them! We need to clear the guns on that ridge before they destroy us! The ridge is ours! Italian intelligence suggests the British have established refueling depots in strategic locations to the north. Destroying those will stall their armor's advance. I have made contact with our lost vanguard. They are cut off from our position, but we can use that to our advantage. Our separate vanguard in the north will destroy the fuel reserves in that area. We may run out of supplies, but so will the enemy. After destroying the reserves, they will reunite with our forces in the south. We will need every man in our forces to defend Deir el-Shein. I anticipate fierce British attempts to retake the ridge. Signals have informed me of deadly new additions to the British armored forces. Their heavy armor is a force to be reckoned with, but no matter what happens, we must hold the line. The sandstorm has also cut our radio communications with Berlin. Re-establishing that is a low priority. No one can stop us now. We will end this on our terms. on equal grounds. Let us prove to the British who has the armored superiority on the field of battle. Signals indicates the British are mobilizing a push from their trench lines. Destroying the fuel reserves has bought us some time. We will use their moment of hesitation to prepare an equally deadly defense. Vanguard, you have demonstrated true valor against unsurmountable odds, but your strength is still needed at the ridge. Return to our headquarters and let us rejoin forces. Our prodigal Vanguard returns. If even a sandstorm couldn't break us apart, what hope could the enemy have? We make our stand together!
Keep moving.
The sandstorm is cutting off the Signals Battalion's messages. But I know the British are close. We must hold out on our own. I see them! Afrika Korps, ready your weapons! Standhalten, Afrika Korps! Keep holding the ridge! They have retreated to their line, but I know the British. They'll be back soon enough. Signals got a message through. The British are moving in to flank us from the east. Prepare for a second attack. Our flank! We've repelled the British once again, yet something feels off. They surely have more tanks than what we've seen. An armored assault is no doubt incoming. Prepare accordingly. Signals has sent us one last message before going dark. Reports of an onslaught of tanks approaching from the north. Do not falter, Afrika Korps. This is where we make our final stand. British must have been delayed by our recent raid on their field depot. That preemptive strike may have just saved our lives. The battle is over, and we stand still. Afrika Korps, we have endured everything they've thrown at us, but we are stretched thin. Now we must hold our position. Hold until Germany wipes out the Allies in Europe. I do not know for how long we can maintain this stalemate. I do not know what decisions tomorrow will force upon us. But today we live.
The first battle of Alamein was a stalemate, but we halted Rommel's advance. 2 weeks later, a new commander arrived, General Bernard Montgomery. He brought fresh troops, and more importantly, a fresh atmosphere. One of optimism and a sense of inevitable victory. The British began supplying Rommel with false information, and under Montgomery's command, they pushed forward, driving the Afrika Korps back across the desert. And I went with them. سليمة.
يبا
ما رحت لين مام.
إسرداسن إلان إغاي غلطي نو يبا تانا تبرين كانت نوت في نقوينا وكان نكي أرمحد سفهم ناس هاتينكي أدي كان ولا أني إنها تنا يا أرسركشت أرم أدوسا زنكي
ورقي الغلط بدنك بخير. وعدك.
With the loss of his direct line to Allied intelligence and the arrival of the US Army, Rommel was forced to retreat to Tunisia. In March 1943, after a failed attack on the 8th Army, he returned to Europe. 2 months later, the German army in North Africa surrendered. We didn't know it at the time, but Rommel's defeat was the beginning of the end of the war. It would take 2 more years and cost millions of lives, but Hitler would be defeated, just as Rommel had been. It was the end of my war too. I returned home to Benghazi with my daughter. My country and my people faced an uncertain future, and darkness would fill the decades after the war. But for now, we would rebuild and remember.